Hey guys, I'm Susan Thomas, and today I want to talk to you about making head pins using wire. As a jewelry maker, if there's one thing I'm always running out of, it's head pins. I can never find one when I need one, and I always want a cooler one than the one I have when I'm ready to use it. So I had to learn how to make head pins myself just using wire. Now I'm going to use some 24 gauge wire today to show you how to make 3 different styles of head pins. And I think you're going to be really surprised at how unique you can make your jewelry when you actually design the components that are in your jewelry. Okay, so I'm going to be using some 24 gauge wire to make these head pins. I'm going to make them in 3 different colors and 3 different styles so you guys can really see the difference. First of all, I'm going to start with some 24 gauge silver tone wire to make a head pin with a swirl on the bottom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my chain nose plier and I'm going to start to make a little coil down at the bottom of this wire. And when that little coil just touches the wire, I'm going to trim it up just a little bit with my flesh cutter, and then I am going to continue coiling that up like so. And then just taking my chain nose plier, I'm going to continue to roll this coil up in a circular motion. And see how it's starting to kind of roll up into a really pretty little spiral? And then once I get it as big as I want it, I'm going to take my wire and I'm going to bend it back and then roll that coil or that spiral right up to the bend so that this sits at the bottom of my head pin. So now I don't just have a piece of wire, I have a head pin that I can take a bead of any sort and put on there, and that will act as the stopper. So look, I can make a cute little earring. So that is one style. And then I'm going to take a different color wire, also 24 gauge. Now I will tell you guys, you don't have to use 24 gauge. You can use whatever gauge you want to. I just chose 24 because it fits through most beads. So good option. So I'm going to cut this wire, and if you're wondering, I'm cutting about 5 inches each because I like nice long head pins. That gives me lots of options. So on this one, I'm going to show you how you can make a knot at the bottom of the wire. So to do this, I'm going to need my round nose plier, and I am going to take the end of this wire and I am going to roll it up a couple times on the bottom of my plier. See how I kind of made a little spiral here? Now you can go kind of crazy with this, and you can make a really big knot or a little knot or whatever, but I'm just going to start with a little knot this time so you can see what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do then is take the end of this wire and I'm going to put it back through the coil that I made, and I'm going to pull this up inside that little coil until the knot sits at the bottom of my pin. So there you have a little knot at the bottom of your wire. So same thing, I can take this bead and ta-da! Once again, I can make a little earring or a little pendant or anything I wanted to, but that's a nice little finish. So you can see just 2 different ideas for how you can make a head pin to work with. Now, put those to the side, and I'm gonna take some copper wire. Now this is bare copper wire, meaning it is not plated. So I'm able to hammer this wire and do whatever I want to with it. And this particular style, you do need to use an uncoated wire to be successful. So this is also 24 gauge. Once again, you can use whatever gauge you want to, but I'm gonna use 24 gauge because it fits through most beads. And you just wanna flush cut your end. And then I'm going to put the end onto a bench block. And I'm gonna use a chasing hammer to finish this off. And I just want to make sure that I'm just hammering the very end of the wire with the flat side of my chasing hammer. All right, and so if you look up close, you can see I've made a little paddle at the bottom of my piece. See that, how it kind of splays out at the bottom? Now if you continue hammering, you can kind of make it a little bit wider, and it really depends on the hole size in your bead how big you want to make the paddle at the end. But I like the way mine looks. So let's test it out with my bead and see if it's wide enough to stop the bead from falling off the end. So I'm just going to take this guy and I'm just going to pull that down, and sure enough, it's just wide enough to keep that bead from falling off the end. And you still have just a little bit of that paddle sticking out at the bottom there as kind of a decorative element. So there you go. So that is the third way that you can make a head pin. And there's lots of other ways too. I know you guys would love to see. I probably know about 10 or 15 different ways. These are 3 of my favorites: the paddle, the swirl, and the knot. So making head pins is a really fun and easy way to make your jewelry more unique. And really all you need is some wire. Today I've used 24 gauge wire. I used some silver tone, some gold tone, and then some bare copper wire to make my 3 examples of head pins. And as for tools, just a basic tool set, a bench block, and a chasing hammer, and you're good to go. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to pick up some supplies like the ones we used today, check out the links down below. What kind of designs can you imagine for the bottoms of your head pins? Talk to me about it in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.